December 1887, a brutal nor'easter was barreling down on the Montana frontier, and Jacob Riley could feel it in his bones. After 2 decades of wrangling cattle on his isolated spread near the town of Bitterroot, he'd learned to trust the sky more than any man. The clouds were boiling black, promising a freeze that would kill anything left exposed. He was mending a broken fence when he spotted a teenage girl, no older than 18, slumped against a gnarled pine at the edge of his land. Her coat was shredded, her auburn hair crusted with ice, and in her clenched hand was a crumpled train ticket to Chicago, stamped 4 days prior. Jacob had lost his daughter to a fever during the Civil War, back when he fought at Antietam, and he'd vowed never to let anyone close enough to break him again. For 20 years, he'd honored that oath, living like a ghost on the plains. The sensible move was to saddle up, ride into Bitterroot, and dump the problem on the marshal. But the wind was howling now, the temperature plummeting. In an hour, the storm would swallow everything. In 2, she'd be gone. Jacob swung down from his horse and crouched beside her, his calloused hands trembling not from the chill, but from the gravity of a choice that could upend his solitary world. What would it cost him to step in when every instinct screamed to walk away? "Miss, you hear me?" Her eyes fluttered open, glazed with pain and fever. When she saw his grizzled face, she recoiled weakly, but her limbs betrayed her. "Easy there," Jacob murmured, his tone softer than it had been in ages. "You're banged up bad. Please, don't send me back," she rasped. Jacob scooped her up, shocked at how little she weighed, and carried her to his cabin. He laid her on the bed that had belonged to his daughter the first time it had been used in 2 decades. As he tended her wounds, wiping blood from her pale skin, he saw the marks, faded yellow bruises overlapping fresh purple ones. This wasn't a one-time beating. Someone had made a habit of it. "What's your name, girl?" "Sophia Langford." The words escaped like a secret she regretted sharing. Jacob paused. Langford rang a bell. Victor Langford owned the saloon in Bitterroot, a spineless drunk who gambled away more than he earned. But this girl didn't favor him. Victor's kin. Sophia's expression turned guarded, not puzzled, but calculated. "Stepfather. After my past, he called me his. Burden." The way she spat burden sent a chill through Jacob deeper than the storm outside. While Sophia drifted into uneasy sleep, Jacob examined the ticket Chicago one way. Tucked in her pocket was a wrinkled contract from the Great Western Review, a traveling spectacle that peddled frontier fantasies to city folks. It bound one Sophia Langford, orphan frontierswoman, age 18, for performances. The details turned Jacob's stomach. She'd been sold by her stepfather for $75 to play a damsel captured by outlaws, rescued, nightly in a staged shootout. When Sophia stirred around midnight, Jacob sat by the hearth, the contract laid bare on the table. "How long?" he asked flatly. 8 months, she whispered, pulling the quilt tight. He told them I was raised by bandits after a wagon train raid. Every show, I'd be tied up, fake screaming while the hero saved me. The crowds loved it. Jacob had caught the review once in Billings years back. He recalled the act, the cheers masking the girl's real terror. The bruises from the show? Or Victor before he cashed you out? Both. Victor. He got meaner after Ma died. Said I owed him for keeping a roof over my head. The nor'easter pounded the cabin for 4 days straight. On the 5th morning, the world outside was a silent blanket of white, but the peace was shattered with the thud of approaching riders. Victor Langford led the pack, flanked by his barkeep, Buck Harlan, both wrapped in heavy wool. Trailing them, Marshal Harlan Voss and 2 deputies, their stars glinting in the weak sun. Jacob stepped onto his porch, rifle cradled in his arms. "Jacob," Voss called, his voice laced with official bluster. "Word is you're hiding something that don't belong to you." "About what?" Victor avoided Jacob's gaze, his face haggard, hands jittery from more than the cold. "My stepdaughter took off," he muttered. She's unstable, dangerous even. Might spin tails. Voss nodded. Mind if we check inside? Just to set minds at ease. From the window, Sophia peeked out, spotting Victor and going ashen. Her terror fueled Jacob's resolve. She's staying put, he said low and firm. The air thickened. Voss's hand hovered near his holster. Come on, Jacob. She's family. Victor's torn up. Family. Jacob's jaw tightened. You mean the kind that pawns off kids to road shows for pocket change? Victor flinched. You don't get it. After her ma died, debts piled up. The ranchers were foreclosing. Sophia was collateral. Voss advanced. That's slander. The review folks said she was trouble from day one, ungrateful, prone to lies. Jacob smelled the rot. Voss wasn't upholding the law, was burying a scandal for payoffs from the show's backers and local bigwigs. Sophia can't go back, Jacob thought, his grip on a rifle steady. That's when Buck Harlan shifted allegiance. Drop it, Harlan, he growled, drawing his own pistol not on Jacob but on Voss. I've seen Victor's handiwork. Heard her sobs through the thin walls at the saloon. She ain't returning to that hell. Voss's face purpled. You're crossing a line, Buck. A fatal one. Maybe, but I'm done enabling monsters. The standoff crackled like dry lightning. 5 men, guns drawn, triggers itching, each daring the other to fire first. Then Victor crumbled. Enough. He slid from his saddle, knees buckling in the snow, sobs racking his frame. 2 decades of rot spilling out. I sold her, he wailed. Lord forgive me. I treated her like chattel. Voss's weapon dipped. This wasn't the plan. Victor, shut your trap, no. Victor glared up at Jacob. After my wife went, Sophia was all I had. She was 13, looking just like her ma. I started, thinking twisted thoughts. The review came through, offering cash for a frontier girl act. I convinced myself it was mercy better than what I'd do if she stayed. Buck holstered his gun in revulsion. Even the deputies shifted uncomfortably. That's not the half. Victor pressed on, voice shattering. When she escaped and came back, I was relieved missed her in sick ways. But scared too, caused the truth would out. Sophia emerged in the doorway, steady despite her pallor. Sophia, honey. I'm sorry, Victor pleaded. She eyed the man who'd shattered her youth, sold her for a pittance and a twisted piece. I know you are, she said evenly, but apologies don't mend what's broken. Victor nodded, defeated. From his vest, he drew a worn pouch, his meager savings, maybe $250. Take it, he rasped, thrusting it at Jacob. It ain't enough, but it's everything. He snatched Voss's cuffs, snapping them on his own wrists. I confessed to trafficking Sophia Langford to the Great Western Review, breaking every anti-slavery statute. I confessed to failing her worse than any father could. Voss stared, stunned. Victor, you'll hang for this. The feds, as Voss grabbed the reins to haul him away. Victor clutched his chest, gasping, and collapsed face first into the drift. Years of booze, guilt, and depravity had exacted their toll. Buck checked for a pulse, then shook his head. Heart gave out. Sophia watched from the threshold as the man who'd ruined her lay lifeless in the snow. No triumph surged through her, just a hollow void where rage once burned. Voss surveyed the mess. A corpse, a defiant rancher, a turncoat barkeep. This never happened, he snarled. Victor Langford keeled, over searching for his wayward girl. Natural causes. Clear. It wasn't true justice, but in this raw frontier, it was as close as they'd get. As the group departed with the body, Buck approached Jacob. She can't linger here. Tongues will wag about an old coot and a young thing. Jacob knew it. Scandal would devour them both. But Sophia had no refuge. My aunt's got a respectable inn in Chicago, Buck offered. Sophia could board there, work honestly. Sophia stepped up, clutching the pouch. I'll fund my own way. Dirty money, but it buys freedom. Winter thawed early that year. By April, the plains bloomed green, and Sophia packed her scant belongings into a valise that had been Jacob's daughter's. The train from Bitterroot to Chicago rolled out at dawn. Jacob drove her in his buckboard, words scarce, but heavy with unspoken meaning. In those months, she'd pitched in with the herd during branding, whipped up hearty stews that chased the chill from his bones, and in quiet evenings, listened as he read from faded novels, both clinging to a fragile normalcy. At the depot, under a warming sun, she looked wiser than her years not scarred, but forged. "Will you write?" she asked. "If you do, I will." She handed him a parcel, a tintype of her by his corral, feeding oats to his stallion, taken at the town photographer's with her sparse coins. On the back, in neat hand, "To Jacob Riley, who taught me what a real guardian looks like. SL, Spring 1888. The whistle pierced the air. Sophia rose on tiptoe, brushing a kiss on his stubbled cheek, then boarded without a backward glance. Jacob watched the cars fade into the endless prairie, carrying away the spark that had reignited his weary heart after 20 years adrift. That night, alone in his cabin, he studied the image by lamplight. The wind sighed outside, heralding another season's trials, but for the first time, Jacob faced solitude without dread. He'd rescued one soul and reclaimed his own in the bargain. Some folks chase redemption their whole lives. Sometimes it tracks you down unbidden. What do you think about the tough choices in this tale? Should Jacob have gotten involved, or was walking away the smarter play? Drop your take in the comments, stand your ground, and share your views. I'd love to hear where you land on themes like justice, forgiveness, and second shots.